And he entered not by means of the blood of goats and calves, but by means of his own blood, for setting people free forever. For if sprinkling ceremonial unclean persons with the blood of goats and bulls, and the ashes of a heifer, restores their outward purity, how much more the blood of the Messiah, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself to God as a sacrifice without blemish, will purify our conscience from works that lead to death, so that we can serve the living God. It is because of this death that he is mediator of a new covenant or will. Jeremiah 31:30. Because a death has occurred which sets people free from the transgressions committed under the first covenant, those who being called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. For where there is a will, there must necessarily be produced evidence of its maker's death, since a will goes into effect only upon death. It never has force while its maker is still alive. This is why the first covenant too was inaugurated with blood. After Moses had proclaimed every command of the Torah to all the people, he took the blood of the calves with some water and used scarlet wool and hyssop to sprinkle both the skull itself and all the people, and he said, "This is the blood of the covenant which God has ordained for you." Exodus 24:8. Likewise, he sprinkled with the blood both the tent and all the things used in its ceremonies. In fact, according to the Torah, almost everything is purified with blood. Indeed, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. Now this is how that copies of the heavenly things had to be purified, but the heavenly things themselves require better sacrifices than these. For the Messiah has entered a holiest place, which is not man-made and merely a copy of the true one, but into heaven itself, in order to appear now on our behalf in the very presence of God. Further, he did not enter heaven to offer himself over and over again, like the Kohen Hagadol, high priest, who went into the holiest place year after year with blood that is not his own. For then he would have had to suffer death many times, from the founding of the universe on. But as it is, he has appeared once at the end of the ages in order to do away with sin through the sacrifice of himself, just as human beings have to die once, but after this comes judgment. So also the Messiah, having been offered once to bear the sins of many. Isaiah 53:12. Will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to deliver those who are eagerly waiting for him. For the Torah has in it a shadow of the good things to come, but not the actual manifestation of the originals. Therefore it can never, by means of the same sacrifices, repeated endlessly year after year, bring to the goal those who approach the holy place to offer them. Otherwise, when the offering of those sacrifices ceased, for if the people performing the service had been cleansed once and for all, they would no longer have sins on their conscience. No, it is quite the contrary. In these sacrifices is a reminder of sins year after year, for it is possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins. This is why, on coming into the world, he says, "It has not been your will to have an animal sacrifice and a meal offering, rather you prepared for me a body, nor you have not been pleased with the offerings and sin offerings. Then I said, Look, in the scroll of the book it is written about me, I have come to do your will." Psalm 40:7-9.